Hey Aquarius. Aquarius, I was hearing for you, step boldly to the throne. Step boldly to the throne. Aquarius, this is your reading for the series that we're doing on the School of Athens fresco by Raphael Sanzio. Aquarius, really quickly, you were given Ptolemy, featured here next to Zoroaster and Raphael. Ptolemy holding a sphere of the globe. But I think for you in Pisces, I'm actually going to close out the readings giving you two notable philosophers that I can't just give you one, and unfortunately there's so many here to choose from, but I'm going to give you two. Two people of note. We're going to talk about Ptolemy a little bit here, but I also want to discuss for you Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. So, Aquarius, combined with your sense of futuristic ideals and your need to conquer and win and change the new world, what two figures I think best serve you to deal in this new age of Aquarius, and how we define the world all came from notably these two figures, heavily. Much of the modern world would not be shaped the way it is without these two men, predominantly Alexander the Great. If not for him, many of us would probably not even be speaking English. Not that he spoke English, he was Greek, but again, these libraries, the libraries that were named after him, specifically the Library of Alexandria, named after Alexander the Great. If it were not for him conquering all these lands, we wouldn't be here. And I think of other Aquarians who are pioneers, I would say, of the New World. A pioneer of the New World, think of George Washington. If you live in the U.S., he was an Aquarius. And he was a general, right? He was a leader of the army. He became the first president of the United States. There's something about knowing how to conquer our enemies by having an advantage of foretelling the future. Also, you may have to question the relationships with your father, depending on your placement in Aquarius. You may have contention with your father, depending. But Ptolemy, let's start over here. Let's begin over here with Ptolemy, an astronomer and philosopher, of course. Let's pull up a quote from Ptolemy. We have one I found. I was drawn here. Everything that is hard to attain is easily assailed by the generality of man. And when I trace my pleasure to the winding to and fro of the heavenly bodies, I no longer touch earth with my feet. I stand in the presence of Zeus himself and take my fill of ambrosia, food of the gods. That was really, really inspiring me to tell you, when you seize an opportunity to step boldly to the throne, when you are touched by the gods, step boldly to the throne. They want you to take, what is the quote? I think it's by Joseph Campbell. Take one step towards the gods and they will take 10 towards you. When you're ready to move forward, the path will find you. The universe will shift immediately in your favor, because you are the ultimate determiner of your reality. And you, Aquarius, dealing with the future, concerned about the welfare of man in the future, preparing to take on a responsibility like that. You have to step boldly to the throne. Can't be afraid of the future. The life that is, what is it? The only thing to fear is the unlived life. Death is not something to fear, only the unlived life. We're here, right? We're here. Another reason I wanted to close out with, speaking of Ptolemy, I didn't really get to go into Zoroaster, but I did in a previous reading, sort of. Having these two, the reason why this depiction of them, this school of thought over here, between how does this relate to the school of Athens fresco? Again, we're looking at symmetry, we're looking at hermeticism. Where is it shown to us? In the text, as it were, or in the art depiction. This is our evidence. This is the only evidence we have of where it is shown to us in the art depicted. These philosophers and these painters of the time in the Renaissance would have known that. They would have had to have hidden their messages in art. Here, I'm really drawn to how the spheres are laid, shown. This, we have a nebula of stars, which represents the cosmos. It can represent angels, our higher self, the universe, the known and unknown universe. And then we have the earth. It's like our relation to this. And if you see the slant in which these two globes are figured, the positioning is almost like a figure 8, which is kind of like the 2 of Pentacles. And it's, again, speaking of astral travel, which, again, astronomy would heavily speak to this. Aquarius, I feel like you know the future. Zoroaster and Ptolemy are looking at Raphael. Raphael is looking at us. It's a message coming from the cosmos and the earth. There is a universal cycle taking place here of astral travel, communication from planets and stars and systems and consciousness far beyond who we are and where we are, that has existed longer than we could fathom, longer than this galaxy even. But it is communicating with us. It is communicating with us through the stars, through the light of the stars. And Aquarius, you being the stars, could understand that the best. You hold the light of the stars of our dead ancestors, if you think about it, because by the time the light of the stars that we see in our visible solar system, by the time that light, many of the stars we see, their light has already faded, it's already gone, it's already dead, if we agree with classical and scientific understanding of that. Much of the light we see in our known universe has already died. But if we look at quantum physics, maybe not. I don't know. Two things can exist at the same time, but our perception of the reality is the only buffer of time. Maybe we are existing at the same time, but our perceptions of one another are delayed. It's like maybe you're having some sort of delayed reaction, a delayed response. Many of you Aquarians also have a form of you could be having a delayed response, like an actual physical delayed response to something, or you may... I was hearing the word Alzheimer's in my mind, but I was also getting Asperger's. You're very sensitive, which is not, you know, and no offense to anybody, that's not to be taken, but I'm hearing sensitivity, maybe even in the dream state. But the point I was making is there's communication happening that you have to take charge of. You're relaying the message of the order of things, of the, the Galactic Federation, whatever you want to call it. It's consciousness and it's awareness and It's identities of aliens too that have lived here longer than we have known, but their communication, and there's a triangle happening here between, or really kind of four here, between Zoroaster, Ptolemy, Raphael, and Sodoma. There's kind of a secret, a council, an understanding happening here. And they're overlooking Euclid, who's another mathematician, and plotting like a course. There's like a course being plotted. What is the course? These figures, all four of these figures, have never actually, I don't believe, have been identified in any index I could find. Within this fresco, these figures are actually unknown. We can only just assume that they are pupils who would have been in the same school of thought as Euclid here. But all of this, it's like we're charting a course. I'm seeing a ship in my head, literally a ship. So, and maybe even like pirates. I don't know. And there's kind of like an X here. Maybe X marks the spot. Maybe I'm hearing Knights Templar in my mind. There's treasure, hidden treasure. The treasure is in this knowledge of who we are and where we come from. And these figures knew about it, and they knew during this time in the Renaissance, it could not be depicted directly in art. It had to be depicted subliminally in art. They had to rely on us, the future generations, to uncode the artwork, to know what was being said, what was really being said. This nod to Hermeticism, as above, so below, is the very question, the very identity at the foundation of this fresco, which is the nod to Hermeticism, the argument also between Plato and Aristotle. Classically, we know that Plato would say that our knowledge comes from the heavens, and Aristotle would say our knowledge comes from the earth. It comes from our reality, the observable reality that we can witness. But we also know that this is talking about the divine feminine and the divine masculine and the kundalini and the octaves of our chakras, this even down to the clothes that they're wearing. I've explained this in other videos, but I'm feeling the need to review it again just for all the signs in general, so we understand why I've chosen this particular fresco to relay these messages to us now. I'm sure there's more to unpack, and I can't obviously unpack it in a single reading, all of it. But we know the depiction of art has given us clues into the past, and this is but one way to kind of tie it all together. And I don't think this fresco's ever been tied in quite like this. Maybe it has. I haven't seen it, but it's cool. So I feel like, Aquarius, you're doing something again for the first time. Because you're a way shower. You are by the light of the stars. You point the way, due north. You could also maybe have Aquarius North Node for many of you. You're guiding us. You're a guide to the future. Yeah. So, how is that future going to be shaped? Let's jump over here now to Alexander the Great. Who was Alexander the Great, right? Our Father, who art in heaven. That might be a prayer that you need to say for protection. I'm feeling protection around you, especially with Alexander the Great depicted here, and he's wearing green for the heart chakra. Green and blue. He's protected. He works with Archangel Raphael. There's something again about the heart. What is the heart? What is our love? It's knowledge. Alexander the Great wanted to bring knowledge to the world. He wanted the world to move into the future. That's why he tried to conquer all of it. That's why he tried to conquer so much of it, to bring the world into the future. Now, I'm not going to get into personal issues or deals about Alexander the Great and who he was. I just want to look at the basic fundamentals of his cause. How did he do that? How did he lead his armies particularly? Alexander was so smart, so wise, especially in his military tactics. Some of you really could also be in the military or be any military, it doesn't matter, from any country. You could be, I feel like I'm speaking to some soul. Every time I do Aquarius's readings, honestly, I feel like I'm speaking to soldiers, or people, heads of military, big time. Your business, big business, that sort of thing. CEOs, that's who I feel like I'm always talking to when I speak to Aquarius. Okay. Heads of state, people in power, people in authority positions. Okay, that's who I feel like I'm talking to every time. Alexander led, he had such grand military tactics. He knew that the best way to defeat other armies was by creating other leaders. Every part of his army was independent in and of itself, which means that in most traditional warfare, when you kill the head of the army, whether it be the lead general or the king or whoever, that typically stopped the war right then and there. Even in chess, we know when the king is captured, that's it. When you've checkmated a king, that's it. But when you enable, Alexander was so wise that he enabled his other generals, his other soldiers, to keep fighting and continue the fight even in his absence, such that if anything happened to him, his soldiers would know what to do. His soldiers would know how to proceed forward, how to win, even without him, even if he died. That was the kind of leader he was. Alexander was the kind of leader that created other leaders. Aquarius. I feel like that's the kind of leader you want to be. Empress and the Eight of Water on the split. I just heard when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But when the student is ready, the teacher will disappear. You know you really know something when you're not actually reliant on your teacher anymore. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears. Yes. Renewal, judgment. Victory, higher vision, the eagle there, right? For Aquarius, what is the situation for Aquarius? Clear message, please, for Aquarius. Clear. Ten of Air, Ten of Swords. Betrayal. Punishment. Confinement and punishment. Eight of Swords, Ten of Swords. Why are you confined, Aquarius? Or your ideas are confined? Passover. Okay, I keep getting Easter, and I am filming this around Easter, so Hanged Man, Pisces, and Hanged Man. Or maybe this message is also going to relay into Pisces somehow. Yes, it is. Okay, I understand. Truth. Yes. Ace of Swords. Yes. Walking away from someone or something that betrayed you in the past. Assembly. This is about the coming of Christ, right? let's say Christ consciousness. Again, we're talking about consciousness. We're talking about the spirituality of the thing. Jesus was a man, but Christ was the consciousness that fed him, okay? We're talking about Passover, a warning, predicting the future. Judgment is a warning, okay? Judgment is... We're talking about Aquarius. Every zodiac sign so far has kind of had a role. Capricorn is the guardian, a guardian. What are you in this situation? A defender. You're a defender. I heard that. Okay, thank you. The defender. The defender of truth. The defender of truth. I literally am seeing not only crucifix, but I'm getting hangings. Could be speaking to a past life, but also Jesus hung. He was hung right from the cross. So it's death. I'm hearing death is the ultimate betrayal. Let's read the Ten of Air. In April 1478, the brother of Lorenzo de Medici was brutally assassinated. One assassin, Bernardo di Bandino, escaped and hid, but was eventually captured and hung from the Bargello for all to see. Sound familiar? The soul is subjected to disintegration and surrender in order to renew whatever has lost its purpose. When anyone's life path has trespassed against integrity of destiny, there is always a just balancing up. When the promise and contract of life itself is broken, then the vehicle of life itself shatters to let out the poison. There is a pain and disappointment. Things come to crisis and an ending. The struggle is over, or else is useless. It is time to let go of whatever will not come again. The trouble you have sown begins to manifest. And now, with this release, it's releasing again what no longer serves you. Maybe, and it could be anything in your life that you know is calling into question, even if it's just a mode of thinking. Because we have air here. It feels like maybe even a perception of knowledge, some ideal or idealism that we are letting go of, because it doesn't serve us, and it doesn't serve our fellow man in any way to hold on to outdated thinking, modalities. Change has to occur. The sad thing is even these men knew it. Even Alexander knew it. On his deathbed, he did not name a successor, right? Alexander the Great did not name a successor. And honestly, no one was fit to rule the way that he did. No one was of his stature, of his mind, to rule, to guide justly, or for lack of a better word, you know what I mean. It's like no one was of his quality or stature or standard to lead. And if we think about Jesus, no one has stepped to the throne more boldly than any human alive that we know of. and knew that they were going to be betrayed for it. That was also, I think, a message for Scorpio. And I hear we have to endure betrayal. We endure betrayal in this life. It's part of our existence. But if you know that, then you can be prepared for it. Maybe you will need to be prepared for something. Advice, please, for Aquarius. The Moon, 4 of Fire, the Lord of Water. The Moon. I might have to cover some things, sorry. 4 of Wands and King of Cups. The hidden truth is that they love you, even though they're gonna betray you, even though they compete with you. Part of them likes that too. Part of you likes that too, Aquarius. You enjoy a challenge. A good challenge. A good fight. You enjoy a good fight. A good one. It's almost like it makes dying that much sweeter, the victory. Or even the loss. Who knows? So long as you had a worthy opponent, Aquarius. In chess, defender, right? I believe that was one of your first messages I ever channeled for you on my other channel. A worthy opponent. I love that this message came back, actually. A worthy opponent. You are a worthy opponent, Aquarius. I'm going to leave your message right here. I hope there was something here for you guys. If you did, if it served you, if you like this style of reading, if you've enjoyed this, please let me know. Drop a like on the video, subscribe. This is a new channel, but I am not new to tarot. So I appreciate you guys who are helping me grow and helping this channel see the light of day. All right. I love you much, and I'll see you next time. Take care.